Your journey can only begin when the self-doubts stop. The first step is harnessing your bravery within. Believing in you is your host, Sean Williams.
Hello and good day to you all. My name is Sean, and I'd like to thank you for tuning in to another Hodge Podge episode on Bravery Within. Thanks so much for tuning in. You guys are continuously making the podcast bigger, and I don't know, to me it's huge. You guys have been so phenomenal about tuning in, listening. You're now writing in, which is absolutely wonderful. I have a bunch of questions here today that I'm going to answer. And maybe in the podcast world, I've got over, so far, we just now hit the 8-month mark of doing the podcast. And so far, we've had over 2,500 downloads of the show, which is, to me, is huge. Honestly, I never thought I would ever hit that number in a lifetime. And here you guys are tuning in, listening, and now you're writing in and asking questions. And not only asking questions when you see me out in public, when I'm out and about there, when I'm on my way to work or when I'm getting groceries or something like that, you guys are stopping me and asking questions, which is I absolutely love. I mean, I love talking with you, with all of you out there. It means the world to me that you want to take a couple minutes and ask a question and talk to me, and or you're listening to me on your computer or your phone or in your vehicle. You're taking some time out of your day and listening to my podcast. And I can't thank you enough for that. That's why you guys are my extended family. And I love you guys. It's so amazing that you think so highly of my show that you're making me part of your day. So I can't thank you enough. And I'm starting to get more and more questions across all the series. The questions aren't just locked into like either the weight loss or the introvert or the men's health one. These are questions that are all the way across the board. They encompass all of the series. And I do my very, very best to get back to you as fast as I possibly can. But with working a 40-hour work week, taking care of the home, doing more podcasts, sometimes I get a little bit slow in answering the questions. And I deeply apologize because you guys deserve to have your questions answered right away. So, episode 14 is called The Question and Answer Round. I thought since you guys were writing in and you were taking time to talk to me, that I would make you part of the podcast. And I was thinking about it when I was drafting up my notes and stuff here and putting the questions and my answers and ready to go for you. I got to thinking there that maybe, you would want me to acknowledge you and where you were from when asked a question. But then I also got to thinking if you're writing in, some of the questions are kind of a little more, sensitive. And I didn't want, you're trusting me to talk to me, you're trusting me to write in. And so I didn't want to, basically betray that trust. So I didn't put anybody's names on any of these questions. They're not in any particular order. I'm not going to say where you're from. I could have said, hey, I'm Sean from South Dakota. But I didn't want to do that because I want you to continue to write in and be part of the podcast. That means the world to me that you're taking a few minutes of your day and listening to me. I mean, I'm deeply honored. And honestly, I don't know if 2,500 downloads is huge in the podcast world, but to me, it is all the world. I honestly did not think I would hit that number in all of lifetime of my podcast. I didn't figure I'd get half of that, to be very honest. That's why in the beginning when I had my weight loss ones, if you see them on YouTube, they're just black screen for I think it's the first 11 or 12 episodes. Because I didn't think anybody was going to listen to them. And people started listening to them and go, well, why don't you have pictures? Why can't we see you? And because it costs more money to get the program to build those movies. And basically, that's what you're doing is you're building a movie. And it takes more money, it takes more time. And I'm not opposed to it. I just honestly didn't think anybody was going to listen to me. It's kind of like, okay, well, you guys are amazing. You completely shocked me. So that's when I started putting pictures in, and the rest of the series, they all have pictures. And the pictures are all dedicated to the girls that, that have come through my life, all my fur babies. It's an honor to them. And then there's also pictures of Willow that's in there because Willow's always, around here someplace, and you can hear her collar jingling on my desk, or she's just making noise because she wants to be a part of it. The pictures are all pictures that I've taken from the hills personally, areas that I go to when I'm on the back trails, when I'm out exploring, just snapping pictures. And I use those because hopefully it helps relax folks and helps kind of, that's what the whole thing is. Everything's meant to be positive and meant to kind of help just kind of relax and take a little stress off of you. And that's why I use nature pictures all the time. So I thought, okay, well, since we're doing all that and you kind folks are writing in, I thought, okay, you know what? I'm going to make you guys part of the podcast today. Even though your name won't be mentioned on the question, you'll know who you are because you're the one that wrote the question in. So I figure you'll be able to figure it out. You guys are really, really smart, a lot smarter than I am. So I thought I'll start out here. I think I covered all the bases and stuff. Like I said, these cover all the series. So I'll just get started with question 1. And the first question that I have, and these aren't in any order, they're not in order of how I received them, they're not in any order of importance, nothing. These are just ones that I have not had a chance to get to yet in answering. So I thought I would put them on the show today, and hopefully you'll hear your answer, and I hope I answer them well. If I do not, get back with me. You got my email address, seangmorris@gmail.com, and ask me to clarify or go into more detail, and I will. I'm hoping I cover the bases for you, but if I don't, let me know. Question 1. What is the hardest thing you had to overcome on your weight loss journey? And that was actually really, really hard to nail down to one thing. Because as you go through your weight loss journey, one thing that I've learned is there's more, things change as you go on. You're constantly adjusting your weight loss plan. You're constantly adjusting what you eat, your supplements, your exercise. There's so many different things. But probably the very first thing that I encountered, that I ran into that was hard to overcome, was in the beginning for the first it was a minimum of 4 months. I think it was between 4 and 6 months. The detoxing of my body was absolutely brutal. I heard so many times people would tell me, well, the first couple weeks of a new diet are the worst. Well, maybe in a diet, maybe they are. But I'm on a weight loss journey. I changed my life. I completely overhauled how I thought of food, how much I eat, all the supplements that I use, all of that stuff. But the detoxing, probably the very first part, was tough. The rib cramps, the stomach cramps, the fuzziness in my head, I had muscle pains. There was so much, and then you had the cravings of, you needed that sugar, you needed the grease, you needed the salt, you needed all of that stuff. And in the beginning, that detoxifying part, oh man, that was brutal. That was absolutely tough to get through. I got through it, and like I said in my other podcast, I fell off the horse 3 times, but I got myself right back on the next day and kept right on it going. The next part is, which I do a ton of talking about, was the mental aspect. Oh, there's Willow. Sorry, guys. The mental aspect of it all. That is probably now, and I still fight that on a daily basis. You fight the negative self-talk, and you look in the mirror and you don't see all the results that you want. Because remember, this is a marathon and not a sprint. It's going to take time. I'm currently right now in month 23 of my weight loss journey, and it's gotten immensely easier, don't get me wrong, because I mentally made the jump of basically giving up on old grudges, harboring old feelings, just basically old ways of learning. I basically had to rewire my brain so I could handle the weight loss journey, because like I said before, I Thelma and Louised it right off the cliff. I didn't do any research before I started, and believe me, my family reminds me of that constantly. It would have been smart if you'd have looked it up. You're right. I'm not arguing that point. They're absolutely 100% right. But me, being a Taurus, I was just like one day, it was, basically it was December 31st of 2021, the night before New Year's Day, and I decided at that point I'm doing it. So when I woke up on 1/1/22, it was like, it's go time, this is what we're going to do, and I'm not looking back. And getting my mind into that was probably one of the hardest things that I had to do. And the detoxing and the mental aspect. That's why I talk about the mental aspect so much about weight loss, because to me that is 90% of the battle right there. You can have, different kinds of food, you can change your food up, you can do the supplements, you can do the exercising, you can do all of that stuff. But unless you change your mind and get your head into the right spot, it's never going to work. I was probably on a diet a dozen times at least before I started my weight loss journey. They all failed, every single one of them. Because the mental part, I refused to change. I thought, okay, well, I'll lose the weight, then I can go back to eating whatever I wanted to eat because I lost the weight and I'll be fine. Well, when you think that way, all of that weight and everything comes right back on. So you did all the work for nothing, and it just got me in lots of trouble. So the hardest thing I probably had to overcome in the beginning was the detoxifying of my body as I was getting it out, and then the rest of the time it's just been the mental aspect it's really what it's been. It's been very difficult, but it's a journey that I absolutely love, and I'm glad I took. And would I want to start over again? No, but that's why I'm at month 23 and I keep counting my lucky charms, saying, hey, I made it this far, I'm not going to give up, I'm going to keep moving forward, and I've done pretty well. And that's why I want to help other people as much as I possibly can, help them get through, because it's a great accomplishment and you feel so much better about yourself. It does take time, it doesn't happen right away in the beginning. Like I said, it's the mental aspect you have to get past, and I haven't gotten past it yet, but I'm working on it little by little. Second question that has been sent in to me, and this was kind of this one took me a little bit, I'll be honest, to think about how best to answer this question. And the question is, what does living better mean to you? And this one actually took me a little bit to think about, because I have done, in the past 2 years, I've done a lot of changes. And I've done a lot of changes since I got divorced 13 years ago. I basically had to go back and rewrite the book on who Sean is. And that is not an easy thing. If you've never done a deep dive self-introspection look at yourself, that is some of the toughest things. And then to go back and challenge your convictions, your beliefs, and your upbringing, I don't think there's anything tougher than that. And that's what I have been doing along with my weight loss journey for the past 2 years, is going back and figuring out who is Sean, what makes Sean tick, and how can I be the best Sean that I can be. But living better, it made me think for a little bit. So the first thing that I was able to answer is, I forgave people and I let go of grudges that I held on to most of my life. And there's times it was like I'm holding onto this grudge, and I got to sitting there and thinking, and I'm writing down on a piece of paper, I'm sitting at my kitchen table trying to figure out, okay, why do I have this grudge? Why do I hate this person? Why am I so against them? And half of the grudges, 3/4 of the grudges probably, I didn't have an answer to. I'd hung on to them so long that they became kind of like a leather jacket. After a while, you get it broken, it feels comfortable, and you wear it all the time, and it's like you don't even have it on anymore. That's exactly how, I was feeling, because, I had these grudges against people, and it was like, why am I, all I'm doing is hurting myself. I'm not hurting them. Some of the people I hadn't talked to in 20 years, and yet I'm holding a grudge. So I had to get rid of that. Another thing, living better for me, what does it mean? Helping everyone that I can. That's why I do these podcasts, because it's my way of giving back and trying to help folks. Because let's be honest, I don't make any money on this. I mean, this costs me money is what this does. But I believe that I can help people in this way, talking through this microphone, coming through your speakers, either into your vehicle or at your desk, or just on your smartphone into your earbuds. It hopefully will give you an idea. Maybe sometimes I might say something that'll make you think of something different, or look at a problem a different way. Because like I said, I am not anybody important. I'm just Mr. Joe Blow that goes to work every day, Monday through Friday, 40 hours a week. I don't have diplomas hanging on my wall. I'm not anybody smart. I'm not a doctor. I'm not, a psychologist. I'm not anybody like that. I'm not anybody important. I didn't go to school for all this. If I started to go to school for it, and then I was dumb and dropped out of college, and I wish I would have went back. But living better is helping everyone that I can. And if this is the only way that I can help people, where they have a few minutes and they can listen to me, then to me that makes it all worth it. The other thing that, living better is taking the high road when others don't. I worked very, very hard at trying to make sure that I always take the high road. And my family will, this is one thing that they have to admit on this one, is sometimes I take the high road too often. I try to find the good in everybody, no matter whether they deserve it or not. Because I see it as there's so many people that are negative out there, and all they want to do is find something wrong with somebody and tear them down and make them feel worse about themselves. And I don't want to do that. That's not how I am. That's not how I was raised. So what I try to do is I try to take the high road a lot, and I do catch some guff for taking the high road too many times. But at the end of the day, I can go and look in the mirror, and the person that is looking back at me, I can be happy with, because I know that I did the right thing and I took the high road. And to me, that's what living better is because I'm able to live with myself more than I can live with myself more now than I ever have in the rest of my life. I've been trying to purge all the grudges and the darkness that's out of me. I try to help everybody I can, and I take the high road as much as I possibly can. And to me, that's what living better means. Now, whether that's the right thing to do or if that's the answer that you were looking for, I don't know. But to me, that's how I interpreted that question. So I hope that covers, that answer kind of helps you out a little bit. Question 3 that I have came to me, and it's a very short and very simple one. Should you be focused on today or tomorrow? And that one there, I didn't even have to think about. And today. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. Nobody has a guaranteed tomorrow. I mean, we are all mortal, and as much as it is to say we could not see tomorrow, we could get wiped off the face of the earth by a complete accident, or a meteor hit the ground, or who knows. There's all kinds of different things. There's so much of our lives that we're out of control on. This is one of them that you actually do. So one thing that I have learned through, and like I've said before, I'm almost 50 years old. So I've got a couple of years under my belt, and you see life a little bit differently the older that you get. You start seeing things a little bit from a different standpoint, and you think about things a little bit more. And that's one thing that I like about with my podcast, because it forces me to think, and then I get interesting questions like this. But tomorrow's not guaranteed. So what I do is I live in the here and now. Not for tomorrow, but here and now. I'm grateful for all that I have. I'm grateful for my home. I'm grateful for my puppy, my family, my son, everything. I'm so grateful. I get to come home. I have a good job. I'm able to pay the bills. There's food on the table. So to me, that gives me the chance of being happy for today. And I live in the here and now. I enjoy what I have, and I'm grateful for what I have. So I stay focused on today. Tomorrow's not guaranteed. I plan for tomorrow. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm always planning ahead. I'm always trying to make sure that, do I need to pay this bill or pay that bill or get the food or, get something done to the vehicle or make sure Willow's taken care of or Alex is taken care of. I'm always planning for tomorrow. Always. And and like me, I've got goals 5 years down the road. I've got goals, what I want to hit in a month, what I want to hit in 6 months, at a year, and 5 years. So that way I've always got something to move forward for, And granted, of course, the ones that are out a year or out 5 years, they're always adjusting because you don't always hit them. Or they might be too far out, or you might have underscored your goal and you hit it already, so you need to come up with a new one. So I'm always trying to, live for today, but you plan for tomorrow. I don't know if that makes any sense or if that's what you were kind of going for, but to me, that's how I interpreted that question, is I'm focused on today. I live for today. I'm here, and I know tomorrow is not guaranteed. So I try not to stress about what's going to happen tomorrow, even though that doesn't work all that well. But I always plan for it. So to try to be ready for anything that might come across my plate, so I can handle whatever is thrown at me. So hopefully that answers that question a little bit more there, that I'm always focused on today. The next question, it kind of caught me off guard. I got to be honest, you guys are writing in, you guys are talking to me. I've been hit up about this probably half dozen times, which really shocks me. Because you guys listen to the podcast, you guys are writing in, you're talking to me out in public. But this, I have to admit, I was actually taken back from this question, because it was like, okay, this is like a whole different level to the podcast and a whole different level to Sean, to me. And the question is, when are you going to start doing seminars? And I have to admit, it's like, wow, I don't know. I actually never thought about it. I never intended on it. I had no intentions at this time for doing seminars, I'll be honest. But I've never had anybody formally ask me to speak to them or to their group. But I have to admit, it was kind of like, okay, you guys are enjoying the podcast, which is obvious. It's being heard in 4 countries now. I mean, people are listening in. And it really shocked me, because it's like, you guys really want me to stand up in front of you in a public building and talk to you about my weight loss journey and stuff there, or being an introvert, or, you know, the men's health one. It really caught me off guard, and I keep getting asked for it. And it was like, okay, that's it's like everything that, you know, that I talk about in my podcast and all this series is everything that pretty much what I know. I've learned through the School of Hard Knocks. Like I said, I don't have a diploma. I'm not anybody important, but to me, these are just the life lessons that I have learned. And it still catches me off guard, because people will ask me, well, we would like to come out, you know, and hopefully you would stand up on a stage and talk to us about your weight loss journey, everything that you're going through, everything that you've been up against in your life, because what you've talked about in your podcast is you've covered so much. I mean, you're kind of like an open book. And I hear that all the time, especially from my family, saying, I can't believe you talked about that on the podcast. You do realize that millions and millions of people have access to your podcast and can listen. Now they're going to know your really personal life. Well, the reason that I give them is because I'm asking you guys to open up and trust me to make the changes to your life if you so choose, or you see, if you're an introvert, you see things from a different point of view, or, you know, with the honorable warrior talking about for the men stuff, I'm asking you to consider new things, make changes, basically see things from a different point of view. To me, if I'm asking you to open up and trust me like that, then that means I have to be equally open with you. And if you hear what I've gone through and seen what I've done to cope with it and to move on from the traumas that I have went through and the changes that I have went through, hopefully that will basically lend a little bit of credence to my words and have you trust me a little bit, saying, okay, because everything that I talk about is the honest to God truth. I haven't lied about anything that I'm aware of in any of my podcasts, because it doesn't serve any useful purpose to try to, tell you guys something that's not true, or something that I haven't done, or something I haven't gone through. So everything is contained in my podcast. So when like I said, I was just completely taken back, is when am I going to start doing seminars? I never honestly ever considered it. The only thing that I'm hoping for someday is maybe to find an agent to get my books out on a bigger scale. But that's about it. But seminars wise, I haven't had anybody ask me, will you come talk to our group and tell us all that you're going through, or how you're doing it, or anything like that. Everything's contained in the podcast at this point. So at this point, thank you for asking. I mean, it means the world that you want me to come out and, you want to see me in person, and I would love to meet you in person and talk to you and shake your hand and say, hey, thank you for, listening and being a part of the podcast and being a part of, my extended family. But at this point, I don't have any intentions to do any seminars. Now, who knows? I mean, that could change down the road. And if something was to open up, I would love to talk to your group and see if there's something that I could do to try to help a little bit. But like I said, I'm just me. So you might be let down when I show up to talk. You might be let down. I don't know. I mean, the way you hear me is the way I am in life. I mean, there is really no difference. I don't really change for the podcast. The way I talk, the way my inflections, my jokes, everything, that's pretty much what you get. But at this point, I don't have any intentions, but I haven't had anybody ask me either. So that, like I said, that could change down the road. All right, question 5 that I got. This one here, before I even say what the question is, let me make it very, very, very clear. You need to talk to your doctor about this question. You need to talk to your nutritionist, your dietitian, anything like that before. I mean, people are asking me, drug questions now, and it's like, I'm not a doctor, guys. This is not my forte. There are professionals out there that went to school for this stuff. They continue to go to school. They continue to learn. I mean, I'll help you, and that's what I'm going to do by answering this question, is I'll give you the information that I have. Like I said, but I had to do research myself to try to find out what it is and learn myself, because this whole weight loss journey myself has been a learning experience all the way. So the question that was presented to me is, what do you think of diabetes drugs to help with weight loss, such as using Ozempic and other GLP-1s? And I looked at that and I go, okay, this is going to take a minute to figure out how to answer this one, because in many respects, there are lots of products out there that are going to help you. And I've made, you can go to my Facebook page and see it. I use supplements. I go to the supplement warehouse. I have a wonderful manager that helps me there all the time. He's fantastic. He's helped design the stuff that I use, and we're very careful about what we use. So these diabetes drugs, of course, have got to be administered by a doctor, but they're just another tool to help you along. And if you use it as a tool and not a crutch, I think it's a very good thing. But the only thing that I, from what I've been able to learn, is most of the diabetes drugs have not been approved for weight loss. It's only like a side effect of the drug that you get out of. Now, I know that some of us have, there's health issues out there. I've had some of you contact me and say that I had one lady get a hold of me, and she was just a couple months away from dying because she was so overweight and all the weight was crushing her heart and her lungs and everything else. She couldn't hardly walk anymore. She couldn't really do anything. And for some reason, she started listening to my podcast and doing what I was doing, and the weight has come down. The doctor has now removed her from dying. I mean, she's now got a great prognosis. She's down 100 pounds. And she's continuing to lose. She has a lot more to lose, and I'm so proud of her. And I'm not going to say her name, but you know who you are because I know you listen to the podcast. But I'm incredibly proud of you. You have come so far, and thank you for keeping me in the loop about what you're going through and your progress. That means the world to me. I can't thank you enough, and that's why I try to tell everybody what my progress is, because sometimes that helps other people, knowing you're not alone out there. This is tough. But diabetes drugs and stuff diabetes itself, that disease runs through my family thick. I mean, it is bad. It has taken so many of my relatives and loved ones and stuff there. Even my fur babies, it's taken some of my fur babies. It's a just absolute horrible disease. But if there's something in those that can help you and help you get the weight off, I think that's great. But for those that don't know what a GLP-1 stands for, it's glucagon like peptide 1 agonists. I think agonists, I think is how you say that one there. It's a mouthful, and I don't know if I'm saying it right. But Ozempic is a brand name of a drug that has shown that if you take it, I believe it's taken by shot form, what it does is it helps out with the diabetic part of it and the sugars and leveling out and kicking your body up. So it actually helps you lose weight. I don't have a ton of information on it. I'll be honest. It's a type 2 diabetes drug. It's supposed to lower blood sugar, and when you can do that, then basically your body will start burning and giving you, basically burning the fat that you have in there instead of storing it into fat cells. Now, I'm not going to go into the whole end of it. You're more than welcome to look it up and formulate and talk to your doctor. I do not take anything, as gospel of what I'm saying here. But the only thing that I'm going to basically say to this whole thing is that I've learned, and I've done some research, and I've done a lot of reading on this stuff now. They all basically have one commonality that I've been able to find is once you get your weight down, you stop taking them. The moment you stop taking them, you start putting weight on again, because most people don't make the life change that you have to make to keep the weight off. And that's one thing that always fought me too. That's why I could never, after a diet, I could never keep the weight off. I could never, it was just like, bam, I have all the weight back plus more. I gained 20 pounds. It was like, okay, I got all my weight back plus 20. That's not even right. How is that? The problem is there's two problems there. One, I didn't make the life change. Two, I didn't have the mental fortitude to make the life change. I had to make it mentally. You have to, like I said, mental problems, stress, and everything that changes is 90% of the battle when you're losing weight. Until you can get your mind in the right frame of mind. Now, I'm not saying I don't want you to go on a diet. I am not saying I don't want you to go and lose weight. I'm not saying I don't want you to do a life change. I want you to. I want you to be healthy. I want you to be happy with yourself. So when you look in the mirror, you're absolutely ecstatic in who you see. But unless you're 100% committed mentally to losing weight and making the life changes that you have to make and being able to live with those changes, I suggest that you don't try. Now, I'm not saying I want you to stay fat like what I was and stuff there. I used my fat as a crutch. I hid behind my fat so I didn't have to worry about anything. I was just waiting for death to come along, essentially, and take me out and say, oh, well, I got too fat. He decided to call me home. I'm done. I'm not saying I don't want you to lose weight. Don't misinterpret what I'm saying here. What I'm saying here is you need to get your mind in the right frame of mind first. You have to believe you're going to do this. You have to believe you're going to be able to handle this. And you have to, like me, you have to give up grudges. You have to get rid of the negative thoughts. You have to get rid of all the bad stuff that's inside of you before you can even start thinking about losing weight. Once you get to that point, and that's what I had to do first, and I did it en route, essentially. I was so dead set on losing weight. Nothing is going to stop me, and nothing will stop me at this point. I am more resolved now than I have ever been. But I'm saying these drugs can help you. They can help you get to the point. But unless you make the life changes where you have to eat the foods that you eat to get your weight down, you're going to have to eat forever. So make the changes and eat the food that you know that you can eat for the rest of time. Just, we all can't survive on tofu. You can't survive on kale. You can't, all these other things. You have to work in all kinds of different other foods. But the trick is to find the balance of food that allows you to lose weight and or maintain once you get to that point, and ones that you can live with that taste good and you enjoy eating. You have to be able to get your mind into that right mindset of saying, okay, I'm fine with the road that we're on anymore. And I'm happy that we're here. I'm happy that we made the changes. But you fighting your mind is the worst thing on any weight loss journey. It stinks. And I like I said, I'm 23 months into it, and I still fight mine constantly. And I'm at a point now, which I was just talking to my friend Rebecca. We were talking about different things as we're going through, because she's the one that was on the show there, and she did the gastric bypass and stuff there. And we've been working together on our weight loss journeys. And we were just talking now that in the beginning, your mind takes forever to catch up. Your mind has a mental picture of what you look like. And it held on to mine it took me 14, 15 months before my mind finally said, hey, look at that. You don't look the same as the picture that I have in my mind. And I could finally start seeing where I was losing weight. Before that, I couldn't. It was like I hadn't moved. I hadn't done anything. I hadn't, the 14, 15 months was all for naught. And that is a very common thing with all major weight loss that you go through, is your brain has a picture of yourself and it doesn't change. It's not like you look in the mirror and then it snaps a new picture and logs it into your memory. It doesn't do that. And I don't know why, and it's really irritating. And it was like, oh, I'm not losing any weight. And everybody kept telling me you're losing weight, and I couldn't even fit into my clothes anymore. Everything was hanging on me, but yet I couldn't see it. And now what we've done is we've both hit that point to where now we've seen it. Now your brain is overcompensating for seeing it. Now it's saying, well, you've lost all this weight. Why aren't you skinnier than what you are? I look in the mirror and I literally do. I literally feel skinnier than what I look in the mirror, because everything is tightening up. My muscles are, more firm. I can feel better. I walk better. All of this stuff, all of this, everything is coming together. So it's kind of like, we go from all I see is fat, now all I want to see is skinny. And that's what your brain says, well, we're skinny, but yet we're not quite there yet. Like I said, it's a mental, it's a mental fight. So make sure you got yourself in the right mental frame of mind before you jump into a weight loss journey. But I want you to. I absolutely want you to. I want you to be happy with yourself. And I know you can do it. There's no doubt in my mind. I know you can do it. And I'm here every step of the way to help you. I'm going to be your biggest cheerleader, your supporter, and I want to help you. But if it takes working with the diabetic drugs and stuff there to help you, then yes, then I would say talk to your doctor and find out if it's a good fit for you. But just remember, you need to make the life changes after, while you're doing that, and make changes you can live with. That is paramount. I can't stress that enough. You have to be able to eat the food that you're eating now for the rest of your life that will help you lose and then maintain when you get to your weight loss goal. So, like I said, I use supplements to help me get there, so this would be no different. So, I mean, I didn't need the doctor to approve a supplement that I'm taking, but I'm very, very easy on. I don't take a ton. Everything that I'm doing is just basically in my head, and I'm doing everything that I can to try to. I made the changes because I know I have to live with them. So hopefully that answers the question on with the diabetic drugs a little bit. I don't know if I answered it all for you, or if that's what you were looking for. But if there's something else that I can help you with, please let me know. They're good things out there, and if they help you, please use them. Do whatever it takes to get the weight off. As long as it's not, health threatening, life threatening or anything like that there. But just make sure that you make the life changes and get your mind into the right state of, mental acuity, status, everything there before you take off. But I want you to lose the weight, and I want you to get started right away, but just make sure you get yourself in the right spot before you take off. Okay, question 6. This one here was kind of an intriguing one. I really like this question, and thank you so much to the gentleman that submitted this. This one here, you made me think a little bit. So, what gets in the way of realizing your best self? Basically, it's who. I think it was what and what, but I think it was who and what gets in the way of realizing your best self. I just read it the way it was presented to me, but I think that's what it was who and what gets in the way of realizing your best self. And it only took me a few seconds to figure this one out. And there's only one person that gets in the way, and that's me. And that is because, like I said, I've had to make so many changes, and I've had to rewire my brain and rewire who I am, and I had to dig deep and to find out who Sean was. And basically, it comes down to me realizing my best self. I've had to take time to relearn who I am, learn how to do things differently, how to think differently, how to eat differently. So basically, there's really nobody else holding me back besides me. And it's taken me time to realize that. And I have to admit, once I said it, I sat there and actually thought for a few minutes going, how am I holding myself back? What I was doing it by hiding behind my fat. I was holding on to grudges. I was holding on to the negative energy. I wasn't allowing anybody to help me. I was eating all the bad food that I absolutely can. I was eating my feelings, and not dealing with anything. I should have talked to a professional to get some help. There's so many things that I was actually holding myself back and not making forward progress. And I did it on a subconscious level. I did it on a conscious level. And I'd done it for so long that it became who I was. So trying to figure out how to turn myself around and make myself a better person was hard. I got to tell you, that was as tough as the detoxing of my body as I was going through my weight loss journey. I'm in a much better place now, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, all the way around. I mean, I've done a lot of changes in 23 months. I'm proud of how far I've come. It's been a very, very long road. Like I said, if you've never actually done any self-introspection and sat back and looked at who you are and why you are the way you are and the things that you believe in, that's tough. It's like, holy guacamole. That is probably the toughest thing that I've ever done. When you start questioning your own beliefs and how you're raised and stuff, and thinking, okay, this doesn't really jive with who I am today, so I need to figure out who I am and basically make the changes so I'm happy with myself. That is difficult. That is so very, very difficult, but it can be done. You just have to take it a little at a time. So that's why I do my podcast, is to give back and help everyone that I can. I love doing my podcast, and I love that you guys are writing in, you guys are asking questions, you're being a part of the podcast, and I can't thank you enough for that, because it makes me, you guys are my extended family. I'll just say it that way. It makes me feel more connected to you guys, and it makes me feel so happy that you guys are talking to me, and it helps. So thank you so very, very much for writing in and letting me know. But really, when it comes down to who's the person holding me back, it's me. And I've learned to get around me and start saying, hey, we need to do this together, and it's working. And 230 pounds of fat gone. It's made a big difference. And 6 pant sizes, 3 shirt sizes. It's amazing. I'm noticing the little wins. I celebrate the little wins every day for my weight loss and how far I've come mentally. So hopefully that answers your question about who and what gets in the way of realizing your best self. Hopefully that answers your question. If not, let me know and I will I will help further. The next question that has been presented to me is, when are you going to write a book about your weight loss journey? I've actually had quite a few people ask me about that, because I have written, and some of the people there that, a lot of those questions come from people that know me on a personal level, but I have had a couple emails come in saying, we would like to buy your book to see how you're doing. And it's like, well, I don't have a book. I haven't written one. And at a point, I don't have any intentions at this point for writing a book about my weight loss stories. That's why I put everything into the podcast. All the information, basically, if I was to write a book, it's basically I would take whatever's in the podcast and put it in the book. So you don't have to pay for anything. You can just listen to the podcast and get all the information of what I'm doing, what I've went through, what I'm continuing to do, my goals. That's, I can write a book, I guess, if you guys want one. But I've written other books already. I've got a whole series that's out there that I've written and published myself. I've got a standalone book that I've written, and we're still working on another one for the series. But I have no plans at this point to write one about my weight loss journey, because everything is in these podcasts. They're on the YouTube page. I love the YouTube page the most, because what that does is it breaks it down in each series, so it makes it nice and easy for you to toggle through and find the series and the information that you want. And I'm hoping probably in January or February, I will start season 2 of the weight loss series back up again. I'm working on ideas as we speak and doing some more research, but I'm focusing on my weight loss journey right now to get through the holidays. So that way, last year I didn't gain any weight. I actually lost weight through the holidays, and that's a rare thing to say through the holidays, because with all that good food and sweets and pies and cakes and oh my goodness sakes, it's like, it was tough to get through, but I got through it and I was proud of myself. Maybe if I get an agent to represent me, I might write a book to help you guys out. But for now, everything's in the podcast, guys. Literally everything that I do. I mean, I sit down and I talk with my family, and trying to make sure that I cover all the bases, make sure that I've told you everything that I have gone through, everything that they've gone through. Rebecca's good about talking to me about the steps that she's going through. I'm hoping to have her on the show again in season 2. I want her to talk about the steps and how far she has come. She has done a remarkable job. Oh my goodness, guys. If you guys knew her before and you knew her now, I mean, it's night and day difference. She is absolutely amazing. And I am so lucky that she's my friend. We're doing this journey together. We're helping each other out. We all both have bad days, so the other person picks the other person up when you have a bad day. When you have a good day, you celebrate together. But she's amazing. She's been such an inspiration in my life and my weight loss journey, and I'm hoping to get her into an episode here for season 2. I really want her to give an update to you guys so you can see how far she's come too, and you can be equally proud of her, because we're all one big family. So we're here to support each other, and that's exactly one of the hopes of the podcast is we support each other. We're here for each other, and that's all I want to do is make things better. Another question, and this one here is pretty. This one's pretty deep. This one here is like, okay, now we're getting down to a serious question here. But it took me a little bit to come up with an answer for this one here, because I tried to find something positive, and I found that I didn't have a lot of positivity to this one here. But I'm going to do my very best for you. Okay. The question is, how did you deal with the molestation that you endured early in your life? Being molested was one of the toughest things. I went through it for 8 years. And back in the 80s, nobody believed that boys could be molested or raped. I mean, it just really would have come down to. They said there that, well, guess what? The stuff downstairs that a man has, that, if that shows up and wants attention, then you're enjoying it, and you should just get into it. Well, it doesn't work that way. That is an independent subsystem down there, whether you guys care to admit it or not. That is completely independent, and it just responds. That's just the way it is. But how did I deal with it? I asked for lots and lots of help. I talked to my teachers. I asked the school nurse. I talked to one of my parents, which I'm not even going to go there with what was said on that one there, so I'm just going to leave that alone because it wasn't anything good. So what I learned was I closed myself off, even asking for help. Nobody would give me any help. Nobody would be there for me. So I learned to just basically close myself off and not allow anybody in. I learned how to, that's when I really started learning how to compartmentalize my feelings, my pain, the suffering, the trauma that I went through. I learned really fast there as a man how to compartmentalize my feelings, my emotions, everything there, because that was basically the only way that I got through it. Otherwise, I was basically going to just jump off a cliff. And ultimately, that is one of the keys that led me to my attempted suicide, because I didn't get the help that I needed. And like I said, nowadays, 40 years later, there's now starting to understand that there is a lot, not a lot, but there's more support for men out there that are going through these things. They're starting to realize that men can go through being raped or being molested. And that's why I talk about it. It's not easy. Every time I talk about this here, I'm borderline tears. I'm breaking down, because it still hurts. It dredges up a lot of bad emotions, and I probably should still talk to some professional, and it probably would help. But I've locked it away and not processed it. I mean, I have done some processing for what little I can handle, but I found it's just easier to lock it away and not do it. And that's not the healthy way of doing it. There's people out there, there's professionals out there that can help you through this stuff. And I recommend that you do go talk to them. I think that would be really helpful for you. But I pushed everyone away once I realized I wasn't going to get the help. I closed myself off. I just learned to basically do things on my own. That's how I learned how to be so self-sufficient. It was trying to just process this. I mean, when you're 7 years old and it starts and it goes through you're 15, you're young. You don't have the mental fortitude you don't have the faintest idea what's even going on, let alone how to help yourself or how to get through anything. So, I mean, basically that's how I learned. I just locked it away. I didn't deal with it. That's not the healthiest way of doing it. And I know it's not. And I don't know of any other way of doing it. And it's a part of me. But for the most part, I've moved on past it. I don't have that resentment anymore. I don't have that hatred anymore. That was part of my purging of all the bad emotions, the mental and everything there of me going through the past 2 years. It doesn't really bother me anymore. It really used to bother me. I still don't like being touched, I have to admit. I can shake somebody's hand, but that's about it. I just don't like being touched. Being haptophobic is part of it there from the research that I've done, the fear of touch. So I struggle with that there. And I'm not saying that I'm over it. I'll never be fully over it. I don't think you ever fully get over something like that. But to me, that's how I dealt with it. It's not the healthiest way. It's probably not healthy at all by any way, shape, or form. But that's how I dealt with it. And if you're somebody that has gone through that, I recommend you do get professional help and get help right away. Don't be dumb like me and think that I'm strong enough and tough enough to be able to handle it on my own. I've done it, but I've also paid dearly for it. So all I can say is talk to somebody, get some help, and I think you'll be happier with yourself, working through it. The last question that I have for you guys today is I'm trying to, trying to keep it a little bit lighter, like I said, because everything's positive, and I'm trying to keep it all positive and upbeat for you. But the last question that I have for you today is, if there's one thing that you would change in your life, what would that be? The very first thing that I would change is figuring out how not to hide behind my fat as long as I did. I wish I would have sought out help and lost the weight before I did. I hid behind my fat for 30 years. It was safer to be that way, so nobody would look at me, nobody would be interested in me, nobody would want to date me, nobody would want to be even seen in public with me, whether that's on a romantic or a friendship, because I was fat and yucky looking. I mean, that's why I endured so much fat shaming, all the rude comments and everything else. But what I found is, if they're seeing that, then they don't see who I am inside, and I can protect myself from those people. But what I didn't realize is how much I was giving up. I was giving up the frisbee disc that I loved, the regular golf that I loved, the hiking that I loved doing, just being able to do more outside stuff with my son. And I may have missed out on some opportunities for relationships. I don't know. I have not the faintest idea, because everybody just saw the fat in me, and they were more than content to be happy with that. So I honestly, I wish I wouldn't have hid behind my fat as long as I did. I honestly feel like I lost 30 years of my life with that bad decision that I made about my weight. And I wish I could go back and change that now. I wish I would have been smarter when I was back 18, 19, when I was putting all this weight on. I wish I would have been smarter at that point to take it back off. But I got to a point where I just hid behind it. It was safer. I wasn't dealing with any of the traumas that I went through, the molestation, the rape, the suicide attempt, and then to jump in and then to figure out, learn how to be a parent right away. And I'm so grateful my son come along, because honestly, he saved me. There's no doubt in my mind, he saved me. I'm almost positive I would not be here today if he hadn't come along. So then I had to learn how to be a father, and then I had to learn how to take care of the family and the house. And so it kind of, all that there. So the stress was there. So I just ate. And I just got fatter and fatter and fatter. And I hid behind it because it was safer. And I really wish I wouldn't have done that. I wish I would have gotten smarter about that and just realized, maybe talk to somebody professional and maybe they can help you. And I'm sure they would have. I have no doubt that they would have been able to help me. And I think it would have been better that way. But that's probably one of the biggest things. If I could change one thing in my life, I wouldn't have hid behind my fat as long as I did and used it as an excuse. I wish I wouldn't have done that now. So looking back, hopefully those answers your questions. We're at the end of the podcast. I'm looking at the time. The time is up again. Ran out of time faster than I thought. But remember, when all's said and done, there's Willow again. When all's said and done, you got this. I believe in you so that you can believe in yourself too. Positive thoughts are going to help you get through the day. I'm asking you, please, to hit like, share, comment on the pages. Keep sending me your questions. I love getting your questions. Thank you so much for being a part of the podcast and being a part of my extended family. I can't thank you enough. You guys are wonderful. Remember to keep the comments positive. The negative ones are more likely will be pulled down, because I want everything here. I want everybody to have a safe zone, a safe area to be able to talk, a judgment-free area, because I want you to have a safe place to go, because I'm your biggest cheerleader. I want to be behind you for your weight loss. And being an introvert, I want to be able to help you through that. The Honorable Warriors series, talking about men's mental health and everything they're going through, I want to be behind you for that. So I try to keep everything as positive as I absolutely can, because there's enough negativity out there. We don't need to add to that. And part of that there, it just will help you too by being positive, because you build somebody else up, you're going to build yourself up. So that's the best thing to do there. Just make sure you like and share. Tell everybody that you absolutely can. We're continuing to grow. That means the world to me. Share the YouTube page. Share the episodes and stuff there so they get out there. That will help the algorithms find us a little bit better, and we'll be able to help more people. That's all I'm hoping for. So, okay. Well, I'm going to end the episode, as I always do, with the typical dad joke of the day. So, if you're ready to let your groaning roll and let the eyes roll, then here we go. Do you know how to keep a skunk from smelling? You hold its nose. I'm not sure if you figured that one out before I said the answer or not there, but I thought that was pretty cute. That was a pretty good one. So thank you so much for listening. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for your questions. Please continue to send them in. I love hearing from you guys. And as always, all my love and support